Welcome to the Process Over Pressure, the podcast for founders, operators, and builders who are tired of the polished version and ready for the real one. I'm Chad Paris, founder of Stonefly Consulting Group. And today's guest is someone I connected with immediately because the first thing he did when we got on the call was he called it exactly what it was. No fluff, no pretense, just straight talk. My guest today spent years as a software developer. Good money, stable career, and a path that made sense on paper. Then he just walked away. He joined hard money lending firm called Hard Money Bankers and spent his first year earning $40,000 a year. After what he was making before, it was a real punch in the gut. But he didn't quit. He built, and 10 years later, he's a partner running his own territory from New Jersey to North Carolina, and building something that's entirely his. He's a lender, a podcaster, a former developer, and one of those rare people in business who will straight up tell you that he's friends with his competitors and generally mean it. He believes there's more than enough business to go around if everyone's willing to put in the work. That's the kind of person I want on my show. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Walsh of Hard Money Bankers.
I appreciate that, Chad. It's an incredible introduction. So thank you for that. And yeah, happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you. I've been actually looking forward to this. You know, we always have these pre-calls to kind of get to know our guest. And when I had that pre-call with you, I realized, man, this is going to be fun. This is a guy that very unique, very done a lot of stuff, very smart. And so I'm excited to have you on the show and kind of really dive in and let the world get to know a little more about you and what you're about. So
I appreciate
welcome.
that. I think you'll find I'm a straight shooter. I'm just going to tell it as it is. So
I love it. You know what? I wish more people were. So let's start here. Let's kick this off and kind of dive in a little bit here. So take me back to a moment, I guess, for you when you decided to leave software, because that's a big deal, like leaving software development, walking away from it. What was it that was going on in your life at that point? What was happening? You know, why? Why did you do that? The question everybody wants to know, why?
Yeah. So freedom is the answer right there. You know, I was working at NBC, and not to knock on NBC. It's great. You know, if you go your corporate route, big company, go for it. But I was on vacation. Actually, it's at my dad's retirement. So my dad just retired. My brother, who's been in real estate for 10 years, he started in property management. And anybody who's in real estate, property management is like bottom of the rung stuff that you have to deal with, right? It's crazy. And he wanted me to partner up with him for many years. And I was like, nope, no chance. Because that's the stuff you got to do in property management. But he got it. He met somebody, which is one of the founders of Hard Money Bankers, via property management. And they actually partnered up. And I got to see what a day was like for him. And he was done with his whole day in like an hour, right? And he's like, all right, let's go golfing. And I was like, I can't. I have things I have to do, and I have to go ask my boss if I can go golfing with my dad and my brother. And I was like, something just doesn't sit right with that, right?
Yeah.
And it, you know, being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. So some people do really well with that structure that's given to you, because when you are an entrepreneur, you have to create your own structure. And there is a very big transition point from when you go from you have your whole schedule outlined from 9 to 5 every day to what do I do with my time, right?
Yeah.
But that was the moment where I was like, I need to take this shift of, hey, you can do whatever you want. I have to go ask for permission to do what I want. And at the time, it was one of those things. And you know, Chad, this is something you said when we were talking was, I'm going to beat myself up if I don't take this chance, if I don't try it. I have to know. I have to know that itch has always been with me of, you know, running my own business.
Yeah.
So I said, let's do it. You know, worst case scenario, I'll go back to corporate. I can get a job. Like it's not the end of the world. So But it's not a commitment where it's like, let's just see how it goes for a couple days. It's like, I'm going to commit years of my life to this.
Yeah.
And so I went from a six-figure salary to 40,000 a year. Like I said, it was a punch in the gut. But as I was going through that, I was getting a massage, okay, during the middle of that, and I was like, I would pay a lot of money to be able to get a massage right now. And I'm like, that's what I did. I gave up the six figures to in order to do things I wanted. Now I make way more money than I was making before. Um, and I get to go get a massage, right? So
Yeah.
it's like after years and years, you get there.
Yeah.
But you realize it's such a lifestyle change. And if you're in America, like it's such a lifestyle shift. And
Yeah.
I always think to myself, this is how most of the rest of the world operates, where they spend time with their family, they take care of themselves, and I'm like, this is life. This is how life should be. I think. Um, that was a lot. That was a long answer to your question there.
Nice. It
But you tell me where you want to go from here.
No, that you know what that I mean, it's so true and so insightful in what you said because I think, for even myself or anybody, and there's a lot of people listening that's been wanting to get out, wanting to walk away. But we get in that routine, right? We get in that routine of corporate America where it's comfortable. Like that's just a job that we do. We're good at it. We get paid a lot of money and we just kind of keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it. And we almost and really, I would speak. I don't want to speak for you, but I can speak for myself. Is we kind of sacrifice life in a way, and just to do that. And so, for me, I realized m- my happiness was sucked away. Like I wasn't happy, and like why would I keep doing something I'm not happy? And so, I think that's so cool what you said because it is right. It's life is too short. Enjoy it. Does that mean and this is the question I'm gonna ask, does that mean that it's all roses when you walk away and you become your own career? No, right? So what was it for you, like some challenges that faced in your way, like things that you may have looked in the mirror and go, "Have I lost my mind for doing this?" Because I think people wanna hear that too, right?
Yes, and be ready for that, right? Whenever you're going to make this change, especially people in real estate or whatever you're in. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the industry is. It's the process is the same, at least from the hundreds of people I've talked to that are successful in this area. It's the same story every time. And no, it's not roses. It's the opposite, right? You're actually going to probably suffer. Everybody has a level of degree. It's harder, right? It's new, um, and you don't have. It's the first time probably if you haven't done it before. It's the first time where, hey, your whole life, you go to school, you go to college if you went to college. Um, you say, okay, here's what you do next. Here's what you do next. Okay, you want to
Yeah.
get that promotion. You have a year. You do this. You do well in this project. Okay, here's what you go next. It's just everything is outlined to you you probably never created before your own vision and that it's like learning to walk, right? It's like saying, like, when you watch I got two children, and it's like when they're crawling and they stand up and they fall, you don't tell them like, oh, that's like, they're gonna get it, right? They're gonna get it, but you have to realize, just because you're an adult, you have to realize you're learning to walk, right?
Yeah. That's cool. That's
S
good.
so, that's what it is, and it's like you're gonna fall, and you're gonna hurt yourself, uh, but keep going because 'cause you're gonna learn to walk, then you're gonna learn to jog, then you're gonna learn to run, um, and it's just something that it's like, listen to podcasts like this, right? Like, listen to people who have been there because there's gonna be moments during your journey where you can relate a bit more to what the people are saying, and I remember doing that myself, uh, just different self-education courses and whatnot that really keep you going, and even during it you're kind of like, is this bullshit, like,
Yeah.
is this going to work? Many times of doubt, many times of wanting to quit, and then looking back saying, so glad I pushed through that, so glad I did that.
Yeah.
um, and everybody's going to have their different variations of how hard it was, what was hard, what wasn't hard, it's just different per person. um,
That's
yeah,
good. No,
yeah.
it's good. I mean, and you're so true. You think about, like times where, when we you kind of mentioned going through, high school, then college, and if you have a degree and all those things, it's like milestones, right? It's milestones. And then we get into where we're in this job and we're doing those jobs and you like you said, I kind of mentioned earlier, like you get comfortable, right? And like for you, you know, walking away from that, I know for myself, and I'm imagining for you, like, you went from making this great living and you're kind of you kind of become a control freak a little bit. I mean, you kind of do because you're kind of controlling, I make this, I got to go do this. And then you walk away and you start making like $40,000 a year, like at the beginning. And so, you know, everybody's mindset is around the more I make, the better my life is going to be. And that's not necessarily true. Uh, and so you really have to, what is it? Is it making a lot of money and being in pain all the time and hating what you do? Or is it making less money and having more freedom and happiness that really and truly is the fruit of what we all should be striving to do? It's not all about dollars. It's really about time and effort and what you feel like and how you can enjoy the people that's in your life. What was it like for you when just a little bit on that is like when you went to making $40,000 a year, like how does your life had to change? Like what was it like? Like because I think people out there like think, oh, I'm just gonna wake up tomorrow because there's so many people out there who tell you, oh, come try this, you'll be a millionaire tomorrow. Like everybody's chasing to be a millionaire overnight. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right?
Yeah,
W I believe we were talking about the ramen noodle diet, right?
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah,
You gotta cut back. You gotta be ready for it. Um, and everybody's transition is gonna be different. Maybe some people were doing a hybrid of 9 to 5 and, you know, just testing the waters, right? I kinda went cold turkey and just said, "Listen, I'm leaving and I'm going all in." Um, Personally, that's probably the way I would do it every time. I think, doing the, a little bit here, a little bit there, just doesn't really get you there, and all of a sudden it's 20 years later kinda thing. So, like, you kinda just do it and bite the bullet and do the 1 year, um, and realize, like, "Alright, probably not gonna get a new car this year." The habits, that you have, like, gonna probably be a little bit of a different person almost for a year, like, if that means cutting all TV, uh, subscriptions that you have, right? No golfing, whatever it is, whatever expenses
yeah.
is, it's like, you just have to realize, okay, would you give up 1% of your life, meaning 1 year, maybe 2%, assuming you live to roughly about 100, in order to enjoy the other, yeah, remaining, 98% of your life? And to me, it's a no-brainer,
Well, that's good.
but I think people don't necessarily do that, and they're saying, "I'm willing to live at a 50-50 rate the rest of my life." And part of, my story that I was telling you at the beginning, I was like at my dad's retirement party. Well, my dad passed 3 years later. Um, and I'm like, "Damn, that sucks." He worked his butt off his whole life, retires, and dies, right? And I'm like,
Yeah,
now he enjoyed his family life, no doubt about it. His work life, though, he probably could have done without,
yeah.
right? So it's just like, we're all on that track. We truly are until you get off that train. Um, so get off the train.
Yeah, no, no,
Go
it's
start
just
the other one.
you're right because so many people like when at the end of this life, we don't go back and go. Let me tell you all the accolades he got while he worked. He was. I mean, we, hey, I kind of speak myself. Like, I think at one point in my life, well, it's not think I know. Like you get into the corporate America and you start chasing titles, right? I remember when I made like manager and then a vice president and senior vice president, and then it was never enough. It was like, okay, well now I want to be CRO or CEO or COO. So it's this ladder that you chase, and I had this realization, and maybe you have too. It's like what am I mean, what are they gonna do when I die? They're gonna put, "Oh, he was the best SVP of America." Like, nobody cares but
Right?
me. And, like, what
Exactly.
does it mean? Like,
Uh,
what does that mean? Like, what is a title, right? What do you think? What's your thoughts on that? Like, it's just a title. Like, at the end of the day, nobody's gonna ever remember you for that.
100%. I mean, my dad ran his own shop, but if he could do it over again, he was an insurance agency, and I'm
Yeah,
just
okay.
like, it's a brutal industry, insurance agency. Like it's brutal. Um, it's not fulfilling, at least for him, maybe for some other people, right? So it's, everybody's different. So finding something that is fulfilling for you, and you're like, you're a hard money lender. How is that fulfilling? Well, first of all, I control my time. So I work from home. I spend time with my kids every day. It's fantastic. Um, what I do, I enjoy what I do, which is uh, I recycle homes. I help people do that, and it doesn't have to be more than that. It's like I found fulfillment in this area. I also like software development too, right? Like I enjoy that too. But what I didn't enjoy was chasing that title. And in order to get
Mm,
that SVP, in order to get that CEO, you know what they're really asking you for is more of your time.
absolutely.
Anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
It's just, are you going to give them more of your time? And you have one life to live. All of that. And when you're, because I was in the corporate, I was at ABC for 10 years as well. So
Yeah.
like I've done, I'm 40. I look 20, but I'm 40, right? So like I've had the visibility to both worlds, and I'm just like, it doesn't end. It never ends in corporate. And I look at all the people I looked up to because they were really successful, and they're just never there for their families, right? And
Yeah.
it's just, for me, it became like I just want to enjoy my day, enjoy my family, and that to me is a perfect life. So I have to go create that, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I think you know what, you're so right. I mean, like, you're right. I mean, we get called into this it's really, I call it a trap. I had this conversation with a gentleman kind of close that I was kind of going through when I've walked away from it. And I think for me, it was a time where I was really just trying like there's some thoughts that came into mind, like prioritizing my life and my family and what mattered. And I have a 14-year-old, and I'm thinking like, man, like 5 years, dude, like he's gonna be gone, like he's gonna be out of here, and I'm working 50, 60, 70 hours a week and chasing a title and chasing these things, and I'm thinking, man, what am I doing? Like that part just kinda hit me one day. I was like, "What am I trying to do here?" And so, it's so refreshing to hear, because I tell you, there's people listening that's probably in the same situation where they've constantly done that. And hey, don't get me wrong. I think if that's something that you care about and you do, then that's great. Uh, but I just
100%.
I j that's fine. But I think it just came to a point where it was like, why am I doing this and chasing all this stuff when I can't take it with me? It doesn't matter. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, nobody's ever going to remember that. So,
I mean, I think you hit something that is really important, because this is not meant to be all information about knocking at somebody who does really well in that
absolutely.
structure. If they are happy, and that is the biggest thing, and it's like they find motivation, they get up every morning, and they're like, I like getting after it, right? Like,
Great.
you
Yeah.
got it.
Yes. Correct.
For anyone else, and that's going to be very common with people in real estate, right? Like a lot of people I work with.
Yeah.
Like this, it's like you've had those moments where you're just like, I don't think that's for me, and that's okay too. Um, and I think that's what this whole conversation is about. Is like very normal. Be ready for these feelings. Be ready for these challenges. You got this, and it's worth it.
Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit. I think have talked a lot on like how, getting there and doing that, but I want to kind of dive a little more into like like what you actually do. So, one of the things when we were talking before, and just to be honest, you know, money lending is a very cutthroat space. I mean, it is what it is, right? But you told me something that I thought was kind of really cool. Is like you're friends with your competitor. Like you don't approach it like a lot of people. Uh, so walk me through that philosophy, because a lot of people in your shoes, that's not the way they believe. That's not how they operate. And so, why do you take that approach? Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little philosophical. I'm a big believer in, I guess, the karma concept is what you call it. What you give out comes back to you. And I've found that to just be true in every aspect of my life. So I do know in open industries, and when I say open industries, I mean there's no barrier to entry. It's all walks of life can walk into it, real estate being one of those, meaning you can get the worst of the worst in there. and then the best of the best. Like it's the full gambit. So you get to choose where you are on that spectrum. And I have found that just giving receives back, right? And it's not necessarily why I do it. I just find that energy to be more enjoyable. It's just lighter for me, for my personality. I find that just being friendly, sharing, just brings that more into my life, and that's all I do. I just stay aware of that, and then I keep people who have similar mindsets around me, and it's just like that bubble just grows and grows and grows. So sure, I could go into real estate and be one of those cutthroat lenders
Yeah.
that's like, all this is mine, and everybody else is competition. And you can just see that world around those people, and they're just like stressed all the time, and they don't
Yeah.
trust anyone. And I'm like, yeah, that seems terrible. Um, but for me, like, I'm always trying to every lender I bump into, I'm like, how can we work together?
Mhm.
There's so many deals out there. If scarcity ever becomes a thing, I don't know how I'd be. I'd like to think I'd stay the same, but as of now, there's such an abundance in real estate. Even though everyone's like, "Oh, there's no deals, yeah, there's
Yeah.
volumes down." It's like not for everyone, and I think that's because of the bubble I created beforehand, during, and then what I'm going to continue doing. So it's
Yeah.
all about just being friendly with everybody and just like, "Hey, how can we work together?" And even if I'm never going to work with you, I can still, go watch a sports game with you or whatever, hang out,
Yeah.
whatever. It doesn't have to be business related. And just keeping that, I have found, creates my own work environment. So I created my work, just like I was saying with a corporation, like, you're put into the environment. Whatever it is, that's it. This, you create your own. So it's all about just surrounding yourself with like-minded people, like-minded experiences, and then just anything else, you just kind of let go. That's it.
Yeah. So, lending being in that, right? Everybody has a choice of who they would like to use for lending. I mean, we all have a choice, right? We've all experienced it. We've all had probably good stories we could tell, really bad stories that we could tell. What is, if you were telling, you gave someone, you was talking to someone and you said, "Hey, I'm not a lender. I'm taking my lender hat off,
Okay.
but what are like some things that people should look for when they're looking for a lender? Like, what is some like maybe one or two or three principles that they should look for when they're actually trying to go find a lender? Because honestly, I'm just telling you from my experience, I've always taken the recommendation from my real estate agent or something like that, and probably never really stop to think about what am I looking, because I think, I mean, I'm just being honest. I think a lot of people think all lenders are the same, but
Yep.
that's not true.
Yep.
So maybe what do you recommend or give the audience to say, hey, when you're looking for a lender, here's a couple things to think about, whether you go with me or go with someone else.
Yeah, it's similar to buying a car, right? Where it's like, it really depends on you as a person and what you're looking for. But you want to know what you're looking for and then find the lender from there. For example, you don't just walk into any car dealership. Like, if you're like saying, I just want a car that's going to drive from A to B, you're probably not going to walk into a Lamborghini shop and be like, hey, right? Um, I mean, maybe, but even if you did that, you're probably like, I want a fast car. I want something that, you
Yeah,
probably know what you want. If you have no idea, yeah, I could see why it would be like all lenders are the same, but it's not necessarily the case. So it really depends on what you're looking for. For example, uh, some people, if you have time, meaning there's no time pressure, take your time, then in a way, uh, lenders' processes are all going to be the same. But you want to have a person you're talking to that communicates just very clearly, in my opinion, politely, um, and has a human element to them.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, one of the biggest lenders in the world, or in the United States, Kiavi, if you know the name, their whole concept is you don't talk to a human. It's all
mm,
via done the computer. Some people like that. Some people
yeah,
prefer that, right? So it's a little tricky of a question to answer directly, because it really depends on the individual. Because maybe you're like, hey, I want somebody who can kind of guide me through this process, or just that somebody's a person, because I know, like, since I'm a private lender, we lend our own funds. What that means is, hey, when things go sideways, you're not just a file, you're not just
yeah,
a computer, right? Um, like, I'm going to be here. I can meet you at the project. And some people prefer that human relationship, but some people don't, and that's okay too. Like, it's like
yeah.
it's really like do you want water? Do you want milk? Do you want alcohol? Right? Like it depends on the situation, what you're looking for.
No, it totally makes sense. I think it's all about, you know, what you as a person is looking for. And I think the thing that, I can say for people is really like, don't walk into it blindly. Like you said, I think you made a good point. Like you have an idea of what you want. If you want a fast car, you're going to kind of know where to go, but it's okay to ask questions like before you use a lender, like, hey, let me ask you this or that, like, processes of how's this going to work? Who is it I'm gonna, when things get tough, who am I gonna talk to? That kind of stuff. Because, I know a lot of lenders out there you'll meet some person. This is the person you meet. Well, that's not really who you're gonna deal with. They kind of keep trading you off. And before you know it, you're like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to talk to. But that doesn't sound like you. That sounds like, hey, this is me. This is who you're going to get. So through the good and the bad, uh, I'm the guy. So,
A
I,
100%. And
yeah,
that's if you're like, hey, I want somebody, one person is going to get me through the whole project. Like, yeah, that's why
yeah,
you come. That's why you come to me.
got
100%.
it.
You
Yeah.
know, so that is what I consider a strength of ours. You know, I'm not trying to just make it like a big marketing thing right now, but that's
No, I think yeah,
part of what you're saying. Like, you got to know what you want. Is that what
yeah,
you want, or do you want that handoff where it's like 30 different people? You're like, I don't even remember who I spoke to in the beginning anymore, right?
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm just speaking on me, how I like it. Doesn't mean that I mean, yeah, I think people like you said, if there's people that I don't want to talk to anybody, I just want to do it. They're out there. They're for that, right? Which I think is great for people listening. Is like, oh, you know what? I'm an introvert. I don't want to talk to people. But if maybe Ryan's not the guy for you, but if it's you want to have interaction, then this is out there too. So I just think it's interesting to learn more about it because I think for me, I'm just speaking on my own experience. Um, you only know what you know, and so my
yeah,
experience has
exactly.
always been that with lenders, not
Yep.
necessarily these different scenarios. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're like, man, I'm like you, Chad, I've kind of had that experience too. I didn't realize there was a lot of different variations. Um and it's really my fault, if you want to be honest, because I didn't do my homework. So I think the
Maybe,
message here is
maybe
is it,
I disagree. I don't think that is your unless you are super experienced and you've gone through 4
yeah,
to 5, maybe more
good
loans,
point,
there's no way you could know. There's no way.
good point,
So I
good point.
think if you are introverted, you don't want that human interaction, I wouldn't start with Kiavi.
Yeah,
I would only say that's really experienced people that know the process.
yeah,
Anything in between, even if you were like, "Ah, I've done a couple," I still wouldn't use them yet. Like, you want somebody who can just take your situation and guide you through it, and that's kinda what we're here for.
yeah. That's good. Yeah, that makes sense because you're right. You don't know until you've gone through it. Because like again, we live in a world right now where we want everything at our fingertips. Like we
Yeah,
want it ease, right? Like we don't want to. I mean, the worlds of Chat GBT and Claude are here, so we can just get on there and say, "Tell me what I da da da," and it spits it out for you. Like it's this whole thinking type just out there. So you're
and it's
right.
good. It is pretty darn good. It doesn't quite, at least right now, maybe it will, have a different conversation in 5 years, but maybe less, that it doesn't tell you like, "Hey, you should also be looking for XYZ." Like those gotchas,
Yeah,
it doesn't quite give you yet, and that's what I think talking to a human expert, whether it's this field or whatever field, still has, uh, power to help people, right? Is ChatGPT can't quite do that. It can tell you exactly what you ask for, but it's not gonna say, "Hey, make sure you consider XYZ as well." At least
yeah.
not yet.
Well, and that's a great segue. Kind of one of our you know next section that we want to talk about is and I titled it. I wanted to talk about this because I think it's so important. I think it's in our culture right now. Is the AI process, but also with the strategy of the human. Because I think you nailed it. Like AI is big out there, and I try to talk about that on a lot of my podcasts because I think people are dealing with it. And so you know, y- again, you're a former developer who I know you know AI, you've used it, you've had it, right? So tell me where you land at right now. Is it helping the business or is it becoming a noise? I'd love to hear your take on it.
A and B, right? You know, I think I mean, I had all when I first heard about ChatGPT, this is 2021, right? I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to change the world. You're going to have, and it is changing the world, but you're going to have your everyday person able to create these huge systems. That dream's already come and gone because they've found out how to monetize it. And now you need money to be able to create those really awesome systems. That's probably a whole nother conversation. But where it is right now with what I think the majority of people is that hybrid that you just said. It's using AI as well as a human element. And as long as that's there, I don't know how long eventually it's probably just going to be AI, but for
Yeah.
the time being, that's where I think everything is. So if you're not using AI, I think you're behind the curve a bit. I mean, depending on what you do, some people may never need it, right? For example, today, just before this call, I had a guy saying, "Hey, I don't schedule calls or use that AI stuff." I'm like, "This is literally to schedule a call." I was just like, you know what? That's okay. This guy may never use technology, but he can swing a hammer and he can find deals. He
Yep.
may never need AI, right? Great, happy to deal with them. But if you're watching this for reasons of I have a business and I'm looking to make it efficient or get better at it, you have to start getting comfortable with AI. You have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to be left in the dust in a very short amount of time, I think. Uh, whether you're a realtor, whatever it is, you got to get using AI somehow, some way.
Yeah. It's so funny. I'm probably honestly, when I was, several years ago, 4 years, 5 or 6 years ago, I was probably the same way. Like a lot of people are like, man, I don't want to deal with AI. Like this is going to hurt our workforce. It's going to take away from those, that need a job. And I think I said that because I wasn't very smart about it. Now I own a consulting company where we do a lot of AI processes for companies. I'm that guy that said, no, I'll never use it. And here I am. This is what I do for a living. But I think, what's so interesting is you said it best. And I tell people this all the time. It's like, think about a process with AI that can help you in your day. Like take some time away from, give you time back or stuff like that. Kind of what we talked about before. That's a great place to probably start with AI. Like you don't have to do it all. Like like just start somewhere that helps you get maybe a more like a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours back in a day versus trying to automate everything to AI. Like going from zero to extreme is probably not the right.
I mean, I would probably say the quickest introduction for us to using AI was literally we use Gmail to Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Gemini write this email for me.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The amount
Yeah.
the amount of time like, that's just a very basic, area of AI, not talking about, like, back end implementation stuff,
Sure.
just how has it helped you? It's like, man, especially those emails that stress you, right? Like, whether it's a problem client or just you're just like, "I the brain power on this is not it's raising my blood pressure." I was just like,
Yep.
"ChatGPT, here's like I want to say, you know, piss off, right? But
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
make this professional, and it's like
Yeah.
boom, done. I'm like AI is amazing.
It, you, I think it's so interesting you said that because I think, again, that's a simple tool. We're not talking about this deep piece of AI. But I can tell you right now, if you're out there and you're not just using Gemini or Claude or some of those to help you like write your drafts, I don't know how many emails I've sent in front of 'em, like, how do I respond to this? Because I'm like
Right.
you, like I want to say this, but I also want to be professional and run it through that and just be like, give me give me, help. You can just literally say, help me write this. And it is amazing at what it does. And so the time spent on brain power, like you said, like that's a simple tool. Everybody has access to that. They can do that tomorrow. But that simplicity of taking that brain load off of that to write that, help you, mind blown, right? That's a that's a very, if you're out there right now and you're like, I don't even know what AI is, you can start there and you can't
Start
screw
there.
it up. It's a
Right.
great place. It's a great tool. It sure is. So you got you got a small bit, you got a small business. Only what, 6 people? I think you said you have 6 people.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you sign? Let's talk about that because I think when you're looking at AI and you're looking at manpower, you have 6 people that's working inside your company. you have to decide as a business owner, me as a business owner, what is the human element part and what can AI automate to help with that? Like, I think, as we kind of talk a little more about AI, like give an example where that human, because we all know, we both agree that human element is important. It's got to stay there. But maybe how it intertwines with you a little bit in some of the AI that helps and some of the human and work hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it depends really how deep you want to go. I mean, I do have a pretty good understanding of AI. So when I say deep, I don't mean you, Chad. I mean just you in your business, right?
Yeah.
Like how involved do you want to get? So, for example, I know we could build out this robust system where the AI learns your company essentially, um, and it's pretty cool. But I'm like, yeah, it's going to take time to do that, and it's going to cost, right? So, like right now, I think the whole market is finding the balance between uh, AI being cheaper than labor right now, and it is, but that's catching up. Like if the cost is going up over and over of AI, and it's probably always going to remain slightly under the labor cost, but the AI companies are trying to figure that out. They're trying to maximize their gain. So they're just stepping on the get. For a while, it was all about free, free, free. Just get it out there, get embedded with everything, and then they're going to have to use it. Just like subscription services. Like everybody had, I don't know, Disney, or Netflix. It was like a
Yeah.
dollar a month, right? And all of a sudden, you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, so I'm paying $30 a month for this. I don't even
Yeah.
use it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Same concept, and should be expected. It shouldn't be a surprise for anybody. So it's really just how far you want to go with what you do. So a lot of what we do, because we are established and things like that, is we're kind of just like, yeah, we'll just keep it as is, right? Because AI is also just a term that's used, even though it's like that's just software. That's not really AI. That's just regular
Yeah.
software development. Um, AI, in my opinion, is like when it's really learning your business and can almost act as an advisor as well as a builder. That's
Mm.
when AI, and that's kind of the more uh, integrated part. But it doesn't, like, like you're saying, there's different levels. Maybe just for some people, it's like just use that email and you're good to go. So for us, like a lot of our back end system, it's all already operating. Where we're probably using it the most right now is uh, customer CRMs are updating. So like a lot of the automation on your messages and things like that. But even that's not really AI. That's just software on their end because we use a platform called Go High Level. Um,
Yeah.
definitely recommend it for anybody in the lending space. Um,
Great program, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. It's great.
That's great.
Um, so for us, it's like we kind of just use what is like, for example, we have Google Drive, so we have Gemini search our drive. Like Gemini file search is actually better
Mhm.
than the regular search now. So it's just stuff like that. We kind of just use it as it comes out.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's us though. Yeah,
I think I think it's awesome, kind of just to talk a little bit how you're using that because, the whole podcast here is called Process Over Pressure, and it's done that way for a reason. I'm a sports guy. You probably see the Ditka back there. So if you can, I'll put it over there. See Ditka. I love Ditka. But I think what makes it unique to me is that I will say this. I think a lot of companies, a lot of business owners, a lot of CEOs, a lot of owners are and rightfully so. They're under a lot of pressure to get a lot of things done. They got to meet certain metrics, got to meet certain numbers. And because of that, you get forced into pressure. You get forced into pressure a lot. And I have this conversations where, and I think about AI in this way is like, what are the processes that you have in place? Because when times get tough and you got a lot going on, it's all going to come back to I call it the blocking and the tackle. The
yeah,
blocking and tackle, the simplest of things, the way you do it, because you block the same way, you tackle the same way. Are those things in line? Because if they are, when the pressure happens, you're going to be fine. If not, that process is broken. If it's broken, the pressure is going to feel like a weight on you even more because the process is broken. And so I think about like for me, it's like, is there some AI tools that can implement and help with that process? Great place to start. Or is it a culture thing? Because there's two different things. AI can't fix culture. AI can't fix the culture of a company. There's just no way. But it can fix the process of like automation and things like that. So it's a question you have to ask yourself. And so I think, for you, your mantra, who you are, or what you're trying to do, I imagine your culture is probably really good, or you have developed a good process for your culture.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
mean,
do
your
you
business is a reflection of you as a person, I think. Um, so, I like to think that's part of my like the same way I run my business is the same way I run my life, right?
yeah,
Um,
that's great.
yeah, yeah,
It is, right? It's a small child. It's an
right.
offshoot of you. It's exactly what it is.
Yep,
So let's kind of we're going to start wrapping up here in just a minute. But I wanted to ask you. You just moved to North Carolina
yep,
from New Jersey.
yep.
Big change.
Weather's
Big.
it's great. I recommend it for anybody who's who's up there because they're buried in snow right now, and
They
I was just
are.
outside in the sun yesterday. So,
So you moved to North Carolina recently. Here you are, new market, new chapter. What's next? What are you building toward?
it's
Where are you going?
interesting that I know we're about to wrap it up, but I mean it's funny because I took everything I did in New Jersey, and I'm like re-implementing it now. I'm like, what did I do 10 years ago? So it's been a lot of refining and doing what I wish I did 10 years. So it's kind of a great place to be. And then the end goal here is to properly repeat this process so I can bring somebody else on.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're a small team. We don't want employees. That's just our. You talk about the time thing we talked about in the beginning. Employees take the most time, so I know people are like,
Yes, they do.
"I want a large business. I want to have a huge corporation." I'm like, "Hey, if that's your thing, go for it." To me, all I hear is, "I want all my time gone."
Yeah. That's so smart. It's
uh,
true though.
yeah, but everybody's got their own dreams. And like
Sure.
one of my best friends, she's like, her and I are we always bounce business ideas off of each other because we always do the stuff the other person hates. So that's why we're great business partners. But she dreams of that, and she's like, I want to be speaking in front of thousands of people, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So everybody's dreams are different, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
but point being, I do want to make a repeatable process, and AI can help with that. Whether it's just the documentation, the marketing, it's like everything. And in my opinion, anything that I do more than once can probably be done with AI, right?
Great point.
So kind of always keeping that on the thought process of like, okay, what's just regular development, what's going to be AI, what's repeatable, and all of that. As long as it gives me back more time, because that's my, everybody could always use more money, so that's kind of an obvious one. But for me, I always prioritize time, and I think is the biggest giver backer of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. No, it's so true. So I got one kind of a last question that we'll end with that I like to ask. And so if someone's on here right now, they're listening, and they're sitting at a job, corporate job, they hate it. They're thinking, about making the jump. What would you actually tell them? What would be a something that you would leave with them? A little nugget.
Yeah, I guess what I did was I pretended like I was me 10 years, so which is weird because it's 10 years from now. So
Wow.
talk to yourself and say, in 10 years, are you going to be happy with being a couple promotions up in the same job? Are you going to be happy there? Or in 10 years, are you going to be happy that you took a shot? Whether it works out or not, is it something that you're going to say, I'm so glad I did that? One way or the other, I'm so glad I did that. So try to talk to yourself 10 years from now. Um, and that's your answer. Because if your answer is I'm not sure, or I think I'm happy, then stay put, stay the course. If the answer is there's an itch in me, I gotta know, that's your answer. That's it.
Yeah. That's great. Great advice. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, hey, listen, Ryan, it's been a honest pleasure to have you here today. Process is versus overpressure. And good to kind of talk with you, real raw footage, and that's what we want to do here. We just want people to hear the stories and different stories, what's out there. So I really appreciate you doing that. If there's someone out there that is looking for a lender, or maybe they're in the North Carolina or any other area, what could you tell them where they could find you?
Yeah, give me a ring, give me a call anytime. Phone number 201-389-9269 is still a Jersey number. So 201-389-9269. Email me, ryan@hardmoneybankers.com. Just me. So, you want somebody to work with you throughout the whole process, answer any questions you have, give me a ring. Happy to do so. It doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you've done 1,000 of these. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised working with this.
Yeah, I can honestly say, and not because you're on the show, but just his demeanor and the way he handles questions and talking, even before the show. He's somebody I honestly think you could trust to tell you exactly the truth. He's not going to give you a fluff, and he's certainly not going to just try to sell you something. He's gonna listen to what your problems are, and he's going to give you some options that you pick from. And then, of course, it's up to you to always pick what you want. But again, we love this. We love this conversation, Ryan. I really appreciate it, and can't wait to talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Chad. Thanks for having me on.